I think this deck actually is really good against this matchup, as far as I can tell. I mean, it's fairly resilient to Bonfire with all the Giant Growths and even free spells. It only has to get through a couple times. Like the life gainers of Thragtusk and Huntmaster don't really affect it that much. I think this is a little bit of a rough matchup for Cedric.
For game one, at least, for sure. I mean, but you know, immediately then he'll be going to the Pillars of Flames that he'll be sideboarding in, and other things like that. The Ancient Grudge, you know, Arc Trails maybe to kill off a couple things, and
he does have a Malara,
and that's been his thing since he's run it. He has had always one of these in his sideboard.
Yeah, so I mean, he has a Malara to search for with his Green Sun Zenith. To combat that, Chris Vanmeter has 2 Malaras of his own, and he has Green Sun Zenith as well, so he can kind of like legend rule the Malara. I mean, Cedric's, you know, an excellent player and kind of like knows how to kind of get out of like tough situations. But this is a particularly tough situation. I think this matchup is not like super favorable, especially if like Chris gets like, you know, the third turn kill, because he doesn't really have any instants. That's actually a big deal. He has Pillars of Flame, which is sorcery, Arc Trail, which is sorcery.
Yes. And those are all on the sideboard.
Yeah, no. I think, and really kind of make his Wild Defiance even better. So, by deck, I would probably give the advantage to Chris, though, you know.
You really hope that Cedric, in his case, one of the advantages you have, if he would be on the play.
Yes.
I think this would be a tremendous advantage to him. He has to be on the play, and if he wins game one, he'll be able to at least bring in some stuff to help. But like you said, again, none of it's instant.
Yeah, I think it's super tough. There's gut shots, there's missteps. I mean, Apostle's Blessing. These are really hard cards for like Cedric to deal with. I think he has to get a sword. I think he has to get a sword fast.
And the card that really I like made Infect better is the Cathedral of War.
Yeah, like I actually, when I first saw this deck, this was like popularized by the Croatian team, or at least like the Croatian team did really well with it at the World Cup. The Cathedral of War, I was like, can it make that much of a difference? And actually, after playing, I played in a few events after that. It is a really big deal that they can go to, like Inkmoth Nexus Cathedral War, and it basically is a huge clock.
Well, when you're playing to a race to 10, anytime you can add 1 to that number, it goes a lot quicker.
Yeah, and you're generally only attacking with 1 creature.
Yes.
So.
All right, Chris looks content with his draw. He's shuffling away.
Yep, so
I thought he was.
So one of the things that the Infect deck kind of needs, it really needs either a Glistener Elf or Inkmoth Nexus in its opening hand to like get its best hands. Also, if you draw too much of the pump middle of the deck,
you have nothing to do.
Yeah, it's you need to have an early creature, and you need to like kind of be guaranteed that it's going to survive, because that's it. It's a combo deck.
Yeah. So all right, we'll see what happens here. Cedric texting away to his legions of fans out there.
Cedric is one of the like most prolific streamers out there. Like, streaming has really kind of taken off in the last year or so. There's like, on any given night, there's probably like 5 or 6 different streams going on.
Well, and considering the fact that he sits there and he also does a video podcast every week.
Yep, he does and he does commentary for SCG. So
yeah.
I mean, like, he does it all.
Well, last weekend it was with him and Chapin.
Mm-hmm.
Surprised they could keep themselves happy. They're not going on a control.
Okay, so Cathedral.
War. Right.
Okay, that's not what Cedric needs. He really wants a turn 1 creature.
Okay, it looks like Chris has 3 lands in his hand.
It's Light Mamba? No, Icoclaw, yeah. It's hard to block. Okay, so he's probably going to... I mean, 1 really is a Bird of Paradise.
Oh, he drew a...
You drew an Inkmoth Nexus.
Yes, that will help. It looks like he has, I think that's 2 mutagenic growths there. No, those 2 forests. Wow, he's got 5 land in an infect deck. That's not going to help your cause much because the last thing you need is 5 land. I mean, you'd be happy with 3 and be able to get away with that with no problem.
Yeah. So I think he's going to. He's obviously going to play. I'm not sure if it's a Cathedral or another Inkmoth Nexus. This is one deck that definitely dies after.
Okay, another Cathedral.
So he's attacking for 3 here. You know, 3 is kind of dangerous. I mean, it basically means that next turn he's lethal in most cases.
All right.
That being said, I mean, so Cedric does actually has the one sort of Feast of Famine in his deck, in his hand now. So actually, that's actually particularly useful. A lot of the creatures are green. I mean, I understand that the mirror itself is artifact right now. He's bonfiring for 1. So
okay,
it's pretty clear that Chris doesn't have a pump spell. I mean, I think he would have saved it because it represents way too much infect.
Another land.
Another land. He looks like he's like extremely land flooded here. I'm trying to see what spell he has in his hand. He has a spell, but I don't know what it is. On Cedric's side, I see a sort of Feast of Famine. Another red card. It looks like another bonfire in his hand, so that's actually pretty good. Oh, Blight Mamba, which is actually like it's good against the red cards, except that he does not have a green to regenerate.
No, and he could get bonfired again here.
If I was Cedric, I would go straight for the bonfire right here. It's pretty likely that he didn't have the giant growth last time, and if he didn't have it last time, he probably doesn't have it this time.
Yeah, he's sitting on
4
lands.
Yeah, no, three more okay. Forests. So, yep, nothing, and so Chris takes another 1, and so does his Blight Mamba. Didn't get a chance to. I guess he played. I wonder if so. He last turn he actually played the Blight Mamba with no green, even though he could have played the green. Instead, he played a Inkmoth Nexus. I sense that you might want to protect the Blight Mamba, but
okay, so swings in for
another 3,
and no, Cedric will just chump.
Cedric realizes that he can't afford to really kind of like get within like range, because like a Rancor or like something like a Titanic Growth is like just over. Like Titanic Growth is actually over, so he has to keep the birds going here. What he might do if he has another land, I think he has a Wolfie Silverheart in hand. No, he doesn't. He has a sword,
a bird, and something else.
Yeah, so he's going to cast the other bird, and I would suggest he cast the sword. He's going to cast probably. Oh, okay. He's going for 2. I think the only 2 in his deck is a Strangleroot, guys. So
put the pressure on.
I think he needs to have some sort of pressure at this point. I mean, like he's not really getting anywhere here.
Let's see if Chris can draw something outside of a land.
He drew something that wasn't a forest, as far as I could tell.
Looked like an Apostle Blessing. I could be wrong.
No, it was a Ranging Skyle.
Yes.
So I think Cedric has got basically on the plan that his opponent must have Titanic Growth here, because he's blocking very aggressively. Now, so he's landing the sword.
He's trying to equip it to see if he has any answers for it.
Yep.
As we know, he doesn't.
Yeah, so he's going to hit for 4. So Chris is going to have to discard one of his forests. Now, my suggestion is he's probably going to
move the sword.
He might even be putting a new sword down, because he's got a Sword of War and Peace in hand too, and he really has to like improve the clock. That being said, he could do it next turn. But the issue is putting the green black sword on the bird doesn't really do anything if he's intending on chumping. But if he's intending on chumping, he actually has a wolf run there, which he could block, pump up his bird, and then trade with the Inkmoth Texas. Actually, he can't trade. It's a 4/4 now because he just drew another Cathedral Wall.
Yes. Well, Cedric's got decisions to make here. With 5 land open, 6 if you want to include the bird, but the bird's nothing more than a blocker. So I liked Cedric's uses of Green Sun Zenith. I really did, to get out those birds to stop it. Okay, sword. And he's going to equip.
He's equipping his Geist because he knows he needs to attack with it. And I think he's feeling that he's going to have to chump with the bird anyway. Because he can't trade with the Inkmoth Texas.
Okay, looks like he got something else outside of a land there.
I'm not sure exactly what Chris is thinking about. If he has Ranger's Guile, which I think he does, it doesn't do anything here.
Got a Ranger's Guile.
Forest and
2 Ranger's Guile.
Oh, it's 2 Ranger's Guiles?
No, I can't tell what that last one is. He's only flipping between the 2.
I don't think it's 2 Ranger's Guiles though.
All right. He will attack.
I cannot tell. I think it
might be a.
Now I think he's thinking about like whether he needs to dump his hand here because like the more cards in his hand, the more damage that the sword is going to do.
Yes.
But the problem is if he dumps cards out of his hand, he can't protect. He can't protect the Guile because he's going to lose it to the green black sword. So he's kind of like, between a rock and a hard place.
He leaves the element of surprise out if he takes away the cards from his hand.
Yeah, so I think he has to basically consider that he's going to draw a pump spell. I mean, the way that he's going to win this game probably is if he draws a Wild Defiance, which would basically give him +4 to his.
Okay, he passes the turn.
Takes 3 cards. So the Geist is going to hit for 9.
And he'll have to discard one of those cards.
Yeah, he'll discard the Forest. He has a Forest in hand, so he'll discard that one. The 2 swords are somewhat of a nombo together. Not that you wouldn't want to have both swords.
No, but what is? I mean, we need to see what Cedric has in his hand.
There's a lot of cards that Chris can have to get him to win this game right here. A Rancor will probably do it. A Wild Defiance will probably do it. Mutagenic Growth will probably do it.
Okay, he's going to pump it up. Max 4.
Oh, is he dead?
That's 6. 1, 2, 3. 6.
He's on 1?
9. I think he hit him for 9 there.
Yeah. No, plus the 3 cards in hand.
Oh, yeah. No.
Plus.
Yeah. Okay, he's down to 1. Let's see what happens. Mutagenic Growth.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's it.
Yeah, so he actually was 1 short. He got him to 1.
Wow. Even Cedric smiling on that one, knowing that Chris top decked that card.
Yeah, no.
In order to get through that game.
So he actually had 2 forests in hand, I guess, but yeah, he was actually only able to pump his guy like twice. Sorry, for 2.
Yeah.
In that last turn. I somewhat wonder if some of the chumps were a little aggressive earlier with the birds, I don't know. I'm not like questioning Cedric's line like specifically at the time, but
I mean, I really liked what he did to get the birds out to help protect himself. I mean, I agree with that as far as using those green sun zeniths to the best of his ability to keep sure he had the blockers out there. But he doesn't know. I mean, he doesn't have a probe to look into his hand to see what's going on. Now let's go look at the sideboard here.
Yes.
Obviously, Cedric is going to have a few more problems to bring in the sideboard. He's going to bring in the malaria like we talked before, but if Chris doesn't know Cedric's game, he won't be siding in.
No, he like if you bother to have it in your sideboard, if you play against a green deck with Green Sun Zenith, you have to basically respect that your opponent has it. This the Infect deck has actually gotten quite popular. I mean, if you bother to put it in your sideboard, you expect it to be brought in.
Well, one thing I think Chris will bring in is the mental misstep. I mean, if he's he's playing against green red aggro, the Birds of Paradise, the Linoir Elves, all that stuff can be shot down really fast. Take an off thing. Gut shot, not necessarily the worst idea either to help clear the path.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure gut shot comes in. Actually, I'm not as sure as the mental misstep because it only actually gets Birds and Elves.
Okay.
The other thing is obviously, I mean, it gets a Pillars of Flame from the sideboard. The one thing about mental misstep that makes it a little worse in this kind of general matchup is its combination with Wild Defiance. Wild Defiance basically turns anything that targets into a Giant Growth. Mental Misstep doesn't target in the same way that Gutshot or Ranger's Guiles and other stuff does, and so it has a higher chance of being dead. And one of the things that the Infect deck has trouble with is like it has a lot of kind of like it doesn't want too many dead draws because it really is a combo deck, and so it doesn't mulligan like that well.
Well, and like you said with Cedric, he's going to probably bring in the Pillar of Flames, maybe the Crushing Vines.
Yeah, I actually would bring in the Crushing Vines.
Maybe over the Ancient Grudge, bring in the Crushing Vines.
I would 100% bring in the Ancient Grudge. Ancient Grudge is fantastic against.
Okay, so 2 Pillars, 2 Crushing Vines, 1 Ancient Grudge, maybe the Arc Trail.
I would bring in the Arc Trail.
Okay, and the
Malira.
Yeah. Okay.
So funnily enough, the Pillar of Flame and the Arc Trail are actually much more inferior than the Crushing Vines and the Ancient Grudge, purely because the two artifact kill spells are instants, and half of the threats that come from Chris's deck are artifacts.
Yes.
That being said, he does have Apostle Blessing and Ranger's Guiles to kind of like counter some of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's weird to say that you're going to pull Thragtusk from your deck, but Thragtusk does nothing for Cedric now.
Yeah, I think Thragtusk is probably one of the worst. Like Thragtusk and Wolfie Silverheart. Maybe Wolfie is okay because it's kind of like haste. Probably one of your worst cards in your deck. The swords actually aren't that good. They're pretty expensive for what they do. They don't really kind of like deal with the problem. I would definitely take out the War and Peace. It's possible this Feast and Famine stays in, but depends on like the sideboard count.
Because we know we're looking at least like 6-7 cards that we're trying to potentially bring in on his side. Now, Chris, we talked a little bit about a couple of the cards, but he doesn't really have to really worry about much on his side.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably bringing in Dismember. He's probably bringing in Green Sun Zenith, basically against another green deck. When you know you're going to be fighting Sylvok Wars, like Malara Wars, you kind of have to bring them in. Gutshot, I think, is just generally pretty good, especially because it's birds, elves, and Strangleroot Geist. And obviously the Malaras. Okay, here we go.
Chris is looking through his cards.
Chris is on the draw, and he looks like he has some forests. He has a Ranger's Guile in his hand. I think it's probably a keep.
Didn't know if I saw a creature there. Hold on. I see him. That looks like a mental misstep potentially. I could be wrong. Okay, he's going to keep it.
It's a keep. And he goes for the...
There it is.
Mental misstep. So, Rob, you called it there. You just kept him in.
Well, you know.
No, it's. I mean, like if it in this situation, it's great. This is actually
Yeah,
the
but anytime late in the game, the card's useless.
Yeah.
And he just drew an Inkmoth Nessus, which is good for him because now that can start the process of turning things on.
And he has to play it first so it doesn't have summoning sickness.
Yes.
Strangleroot, or
Green Sun for 1.
I'm surprised that he basically went for the Green Sun for 1 unless he's really short on mana, because that he either has to have Malira in hand or he really doesn't have the third land. One of those two things is true. Got shot on the bird.
Another sideboard card he brought in.
Yes, I know it.
Land,
and so
land swing for 1.
1 poison for Cedric. Now Cedric, if he knows what's happening here, should play Malira pretty soon. There it is. So, Malira, for the fans out there, basically stop. You can't gain poison. You can't get -1/-1 counters either. But that's actually what it does. It basically shuts down Infect, so they have to do damage normally.
Well, now Chris needs to. There's a Cathedral War. Pass his turn.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to attack. It's just.
No, he really needs a Green Sun right now
Yes.
to help him get out of this mess. Now Cedric has 4 lands to play with. You know, Huntmaster now becomes available to him. It looks like he has one in his hand.
Yeah, I mean Chris has Dismembers, so he does have answers to it. He also has Beast Within if he brought them in. I don't know if he did.
Cedric swings for 1, plays land. Here comes the Huntmaster. Passes turn.
Okay, draws a forest. So unless it doesn't look like he has anything in his hand that's doing anything here.
Again, it seems like he's a little land heavy.
And the funny thing is, if like all his spells are kind of reactive, so the Huntmaster is going to flip unless he just like burns one of the cards or something. He may just want to cast. I don't think you do, but like he may want to just like cast like a Ranger's Guile or something like that to stop the flip.
Yeah, because that's the last thing he wants is that.
Yep. So
wait, he passed turn.
He passed. So now basically he gets hit for an additional 4 total, basically 2 in the upkeep and +2/+2 on the Ravager that fells.
All right. Cedric exploring his options. Can swing in for 7 if he chooses right now.
Yeah, he's not going to go for 7 or 8 actually.
8. But he won't attack with Malira.
Yeah, he won't attack with Malira. Probably attack with a Ravager and the Wolf. There's Malira. You can't get poison counters. Creatures you control can't have -1/-1 counters. So the you can't even really block with your Inkmoth.
No,
it doesn't do anything.
But we'll see what happens here because Cedric's really thinking hard on this one. I
wonder if Chris brought in his Green Suns, because he really needs one right now.
Yeah, that's like the only thing that's going to really bail him out of this.
Yeah.
Oh, Cedric got up from the table with the judge. Okay, so
I think he's double checking basically whether the the Inkmoth does damage. That's the likely question.
Okay,
Cedric back. So got the answer he wants. He says, "Hey," points at that. Oh, so he obviously found out that the Inkmoth can't do damage.
So he will swing with the house. Okay, so that'll be 4, 6, 7, 8. And if I'm not correct, even if Chris does flip and get a Green Sun, that's still not going to be able to stop him from. Well, I'll give him 2 turns. Yeah, because Cedric won't be able to kill. No, Cedric will be able to because of the trample.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got to come up with something here. I don't see what that's going to be.
So Chris is taking a lot of damage here. He's taking 9. So he puts him to 4. Borderline Ranger basically just try and seal the deal.
And now he's to 5, which is the magic number he needs for his hand. Everything in his hand costs 5 or less.
And he's pillared. He's pillared his Chris. So now Chris can't ever pass, because if he passes, he dies to the Huntmaster, which hasn't flipped.
There it is.
And yeah, so he just didn't have it. So Cedric wins on the back of Malira, because it looked like Chris actually had a really good hand. Now my guess is Chris is going to grab either the Dismembers or the Green Suns that he didn't put in. I'm not sure if he did. Let's have a look, see how many cards he's putting in.
Yes.
But, he looks like he's. Let's see if he's putting them in. I generally think you should assume playing Infect that your opponent's playing Malira, but if they're playing Green Sun Zenith, it doesn't always happen. But you can't afford to just give up. There's one card's going back to 2. So there's some cards from.
So if that's 2 Green Suns he's putting in, is he
no,
putting?
He took 2 cards out of his main deck. Oh,
yeah, but he's going to put in the 2 Green Suns to get the 4, hopefully.
Yeah. My guess is actually he's probably going to go for he's going to take out his mental missteps and bring in Green Suns with 3 cards. So possible that he brings in Dismember, Beast Within. Yeah, I don't know exactly what else.
But we'll see. All right, well, for those of you, we are live, round 6 of the SCG Invitational in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Robert Martin, joined in the booth by Ben Seck. We are currently watching Cedric Phillips playing green-red aggro, and Chris Vanmeter, who's playing mono-green infect.
Yeah, so I think Cedric left the Legacy rounds 3-0-1, so he had 1 draw.
Correct.
And I believe he won his next standard round, so he was 4-0-1. It's possible that Chris is either 5-0, 4 in a draw. I would say usually this early they probably still have the same record.
Well, it looks like we just got a couple of updates from the floor. Michael Hetrick, one of my picks to make the top 8, currently won again. He is 4-1-1. I'm very happy with that so far.
Michael Hetrick on fire.
Yeah, he was a little disappointed with the way his legacy rounds went, but 4-1-1 is nothing to sneeze at right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he sets himself some pretty high standards. He's obviously a very good tournament player, and kind of just looking for this kind of big breakout. Not to say that not winning last week wasn't a great tournament, but winning a tournament of this quality and size is definitely something that you can,
It's very nice to have the words Invitation Open Champion next to your name.
That's right.
Well, it looks like both these gentlemen are 4-0-1, so they definitely do not want to get a draw here. They want to play to a win.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to. They have 25 more minutes on their round. This is game 3. These decks are not slow.
No, and let's see what happens now with Chris being on the play.
I still really think Chris is still the favorite, especially on the draw on the play. But he is mulliganing now, and it looks like Cedric is keeping. Well, Cedric looks like he's thinking. No, I think his keeps. Okay, Cedric has kept. So
the look of the eye of the tiger. He's just so focused right now.
Yeah, Cedric recently kind of I mean, when I say recently, in the last 6 months or so, kind of dedicated himself to playing Magic and really getting back to the heights that he got a few years ago, where he actually made top 8 of the Pro Tour in Hawaii. And he really was on top of his game. I mean, he's one of the premier aggro players on the Grand Prix and Pro Tour circuit at some point.
Well, he's working with Michael Jacob now as part of the stream team that you can see on Twitch TV, and you know I mean, he's willing to put all his Pro Tour work out on the air for people to see. I mean, you know, because there's so much secrecy behind what someone's playing. Cedric's like, you know what, you're going to be able to see what I'm going to play, and I'm willing to show you. And I think that's that's very aggressive. I think that also shows confidence, which is something you really got to have when it comes into a Pro Tour event.
And he has it's a hometown PT, so he actually has the ability to kind of like, you know, sleep in his own bed. And, okay, so first turn Glistener Elf, and first turn Llanowar Elf.
Draws another land. Let's see.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be some sort of attacking here. So in Cedric's hand, he has a bonfire. I am certain of that. I presume that there wasn't a pillar because he didn't cast it straight away. He has an Ica Claw Mirror as well. I think Chris is determining whether he wants to attack and then like use one of his spells to save his guy, attack and just cast his Ica Claw.
He's gonna put it out there. I mean, that's pretty risky.
It is, especially when your opponent is going to cast
Arc Trail.
Oh, geez, that is devastating.
Swing for one. Yeah, he was debating whether he wanted to put the second one out there.
I don't know exactly why you bring the second one out when your opponent has like cards like Bonfire and Arc Trail. I mean, I don't know if he knows his Arc Trail, but
Green Suns for 3 for Borderland Ranger to grab another mountain. You know what card I think we could see this turn out? I don't know if he pulled them out of his deck.
Thundermaw Hellkite.
Exactly. That's one of my favorite cards in the set. It hasn't seen a lot of play. Highly underrated, but put a 5/5 with haste flying out there is a pretty good thing to have.
I think we have
like that.
We have a dragon.
Yeah, it would be.
He has a dismember. He does get 5 for it, so it's not without. I have a feeling that Cedric actually has the other Thundermaw in his hand.
And Chris just passes the turn again. This is looking really bad.
Yeah,
he's not drawing any answers. Could we Thundermaw?
No, it's 6. What does he have at 6 here?
Or is he Keswick?
No, he may be he may be casting Green Sun's 4 Wolfear.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, he's just getting Huntmaster.
Because he knows Chris isn't casting anything, so why not put Huntmaster out there? Because if it flips, more damage, bigger creature, this game goes real fast.
Yeah. So he obviously like was considering going for straight for Wolfear, but
let him. He swings in for 3, puts him at 10. That flips. That's 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's got Keswick for 10. He drew a land. He's got Mutagenic Growth all over the place.
I do not like where. This is certain death now.
Yeah, he loses right now. He's dead on the board. All he's got to do is pump up any one of his creatures.
So it's 3.
Yeah.
4. I don't think he's dead on board.
He pumps it up with Keswick.
Yeah.
Unless he has something in his hand to kill it. There you go, 2 pillars. Even better. Well, congratulations to Cedric Phillips. Now 5-0-1. Looking very strong here.
Yeah, came back against like what I consider